Hello snowboarders of the internet, I'm your host Avran LeFeber, and in this video we're going to be talking about the top 5 all-mountain freestyle boards for 2022-2023. Now this is the broadest category that most snowboards get lumped into, and there are so many boards to choose from, so it's really hard to narrow it down to this top 5. This list, when I started to narrow it down, I think I had about 30 boards that I was looking at going, which ones do I just feel are the best? And there's a lot of overlap, but these were the true standouts, and even if your favorite board isn't on this list, it's probably still relatively good. It's just not my personal top 5, so let's dive into it. Number 5, the Public Dispute. Now, Public's a new board for me, testing out, even though they've been around for 6 or 7 seasons. It's Joe Sexton's company. I got on this board and it just felt like an old school rad dad snowboard. You just knew how it was going to react with that camber profile, the additives in the core. I didn't want to get off of it. It was good. It did everything exceptionally well, but it wasn't a master to just one discipline, whether I was hitting a groomer, nose pressing a rail, popping off the lip of a jump, or even just getting in the trees and squiggling around in some leftover pow. It did everything perfectly well, and it's the first year that I've tested it, and for a company to come out with so many boards in their line that I'm riding going, wow, this is actually good, this is actually good, this is actually good, I feel that it needs to be mentioned. It's not going to be the board for everyone, I can tell you that, and there's other boards on this list that I think will fit more riders, but for someone that's a little bit more lighter weight or a little more freestyle focused, this is super solid. Number 4, the Yes Standard on Ink. Basically the spiritual successor to the old Yes Ghost. It's a cambered standard with their side cut technology. It grips on edge, it rips, it's got power when you want it. You can just pop off anything in its path and cruise the whole mount. It never holds you back, whether you're riding pow, cutting through chop and chunder, just cruising a groomer, or even spending the day in the park. Number 3, the Rome National. This board's kind of been on the previous year's lists. It is a good board. Rome has a lot of cool technology going on with their rods in their boards, so when you load up the camber, you get extra rebound out of it. It's a board that you can kind of just cruise everything with, and you never have to worry about it. I really do think the standout in this is the pop, though, from those carbon rods and the camber profile. It cruises exceptionally well. It feels good on edge. You can lay a trench when you have to, or you can be mellow when you need to, and it doesn't hold you back when you get into the park. Number 2, the Capita Mega Merc, or Mega Mercury, the big brother to the regular Mercury. Now, the big thing about this board is that it's a little more lighter weight than the regular Mercury. It's got more rebound. It's got an immensely awesome bass tune on it. So when you take it out of the wrapper, it just glides exceptionally well across the groomer. This board's more pricey, I'm not going to deny it, and it's probably not for most intermediate or lower level riders, but for someone that's more technical, wants more precision, wants that board that just gives a lot of rebound and a lot of performance out of it, this is a great option. I love the way that this board rides. I don't think it's for everyone, but I do think that for a rider that's very technical and demands a lot from their board and wants the most technology with the best return for the cost, this is it. Honorable mentions, all great options, but just barely didn't crack the top 5 of this list. The Battalion Funking. Now, I got on this board and I didn't want to get off of it. I'm not a big fan of 3BT, and I've owned numerous Battalion boards over the years. I go back and forth on it. But this one, it didn't feel as abrupt of a 3BT, which was nice, and it just sort of cruised the whole resort. It was a little softer than some of the other boards on this list, and it did what it needed to do. The wired Directive. If you're sleeping on wired snowboards, you're blowing it. This Canadian brand designs exceptional riding boards, and they kind of float under the radar. And I was sifting through everything from the previous lists and where boards are going and whatnot, and I was just like, you know, this board needs some serious love because it is so underrated and it rides so well with its camber profile, its key flex points outside the feet that really let you press into it. It's just a good all-around board. the Libtech TRS. Now this board got an overhaul again this year. They added the ORG throttle plates to it, so that way it adds more dampening underfoot. They went a little more freestyle focused with this board. It's not so aggressive it's going to kill you. It still is a stiffer freestyle all mountain board. And that's why it didn't quite crack the top 5, but you got magnet traction on it. You got tucked edges so you can run into shit if you want with the tip of it and hammer that back out if that's your thing. Personally, I like full wrap edges. But this rode's so different compared to the previous year's versions that I felt that it needed to be mentioned. Once again, these were all great options, but just barely didn't crack the top 5 of this list. And the number 1 all-mountain freestyle board for 2022-2023 is the Ride Shadowband, the little brother to the Algorithm. Now, the Algorithm is still an exceptionally great board. It's more approachable for the everyman, in my opinion. Now, as I've gotten older, I need less carbon in my boards because I don't need something that's going to kill me as much because my knees are shot. That's where the Shadowband comes in. It's got a little bit less carbon. It's not as reactive as the Algorithm, but it still retains the same shape and side cut and camber profile to it. It's just more approachable. When I was riding this, it actually felt like an old Ride DH2, which is absolutely amazing. If you've never been on one, they were at that time one of the snappiest boards out there. And I like that. I like snap that's easy to load up and engage, but you get a ton of rebound out of. With the Algorithm, it's a little bit more work. You feel that at the end of the day. With the Shadowband, it's not as much work and you don't feel it at the end of the day. I'm gonna be 40, I'm old. That's a quintessential board for me in my opinion. That's why I bumped it up over the Algorithm. Now the Algorithm is not a bad board in any way, shape, or form. Basically, the way to look at it, you need more reactivity, you need a stiffer board, you need more response, you go with the Algorithm. You're a little more laid back, but you still like having solid pop. You want a board that can still send it, be aggressive when you need to. That's where the Shadowband comes in. This has been my top 5 all-mountain freestyle boards for 2022-2023. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you own one? Are you gonna buy one? Leave me a comment down below. Let's have a conversation about this list. If you're new here, remember to subscribe, click the bell, get those notifications. That way you're not missing any of the videos we got coming out for all you snowboarders of the internet. And if you really like what we're doing over here and you want to support us further, swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP and become a member. Sure, I could tell you more here, but I got a video over there that explains it so much better. As always, I've been your host, Avran LeFeber, and well, I'm going to continue to be your host, and I'll see you in another video.